It's an absolutely wicked episode of Implicit Bias. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. As we start to wrap up hour one, we're multiple weekly whiskeys in. Walker's in the corner puking from last night. It's been an absolutely fantastic, and it's actually a daytime recording of this week's episode of Implicit Bias. Coming to you from the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair with the crew this week. At the bar, Triple H, Hold Harmless Harmon, Brian Harmon of DCG Insurance, Renee Girard, Louisiana's only certified master tobacconist of Piper's Haven, and of course, in the chair like mine, but on the other side of the table, he is the rustic renegade, Caleb Morse. We actually found a way to do this where we got to day drink, which makes it a little interesting as we sample our weekly whiskeys, because we will have no less than 5 before the end of this show.
Threaten me with a good time.
Yeah. Well, as we sample weekly whiskeys, we're going to talk about the next 3 because we've already talked about 2 of them. But we're going to dive into one of the stories that is oh so important this week, and it's one that I couldn't stay away from, and by the time this episode airs, hopefully it will have passed a lot of people by. I say hopefully because I'm not so sure that it will. But I've got to give you the background. Last week, before recording our episode, I actually spent some time in New Orleans with my 86-year-old mother. Needed to go see her, needed to spend some time, work from her house, because I get to do that with my actual real job. But in that time, you find out that your parents start to watch TV in the way that they watched TV 60 years ago. They still think there's basically 2 channels. They only watch what's on the 2 channels, and whatever comes through those 2 channels is gospel. And I don't mean like a figurative gospel, I mean a literal gospel. Whatever they say on TV is so important, and it's always true, it's always facts, and that's what we always watch. What I found really interesting was what we could not get away from, because she has 2 TVs in her home, and those 2 TVs are usually on 2 different channels, and there was something that we could not stay away from. No matter what was being watched, no matter what daytime talk show was on, there was some terrible interview with Ariana Grande and another actress whose name I don't know about a musical that Disney has now converted to a movie. And when I tell you the press tour and the psyop was full on, it was full on. My mom actually looked at me and said, "Oh, this is a big deal." And my reaction was, well, why is this a big deal? Because these people pay to go on these shows to talk about a movie and it's being promoted. They are trying to create a big deal. And this is why pretty matters. Because the marketers, the people who are handling the production for the movie, the people who are handling promotion for the movie, they're all about making it pretty for everyone out there who's watching, putting a nice bow on it, and hoping that the actresses don't let too much out of the bag. Now, it might be a fantastic movie. It might be a fantastic musical. I'll be honest, I haven't seen it, but that's not the point. This isn't the only movie where this has happened. This has happened with every major production for the last 20, 30 years. But this one seemed to be over the top. And it just seemed to me that whoever was putting all this together was doing everything they could to make this as pretty as possible.
I get what you're saying. I do. And I saw the interview that you sent over.
No, that's one interview.
That's one. And I looked a little bit, and I've seen the advertisements and all that kind of stuff for it. And maybe it's just because I'm not a girl dad, but I have, no matter what they did, I was like, I have no desire to watch this. And whenever Ariana, that's how you pronounce her name?
Something like that. Yeah. Ariana Grande, I believe.
Whenever she reached over and was like, "Let me get your tear," and wiped the other woman, who I have no clue what her name is, it did nothing for me. Nothing. And I'm sure that someone's like, "Oh, I should go watch this. This is the newest version of Oz." Look, the Oz that I watched when I was a kid was terrifying.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, you got flying monkeys and people trying to kill you and stuff.
And then they had Return to Oz with the Wheelers and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it got really creepy really fast. And this is not that. Like, if I'm going to watch anything with Wizard of Oz, that's what I'm going to watch.
My daughter went and see it.
Yeah.
And she loved it. But it's a
Can you sing one of the songs from it?
No, I don't know it. I didn't go see it.
Well, wait, hold on.
But
That's
what
2
I'm
questions.
surprised-
Can Renee sing? And can he sing one of the songs from that one?
You know what I'm surprised
Bailey
about?
Came back and she was singing.
No, she didn't sing it. But I was amazed that Captain Kirk didn't show up because there's a green in it. You know how Captain Kirk on Star Trek, he would do anything.
He always liked the green women.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I'm surprised that Captain Kirk wasn't there.
Okay, that is
because that woman is green.
That is a really vague Star Trek reference, which is actually kind of funny.
And I'm old.
Yeah, this is true.
I was there when it first came out.
You are, but I guess and Brian, do you want to chime in on your initial reaction if you got to look at this at all?
I had seen them. I saw there are multiple interviews. It's just over the top, overly emotional. I don't know. It's more of the. It was more of a reminder as to why Trump won the election than anything else. I don't want to go into this particular topic. I am a girl dad. My girls do like Ariana Grande. I don't know who that other lady is in the interview. I don't care to ever know. Thankfully, I won't be seeing it. I've got a great wife who will take them to go see it if they so desire. But it's a story, not the story. It's just the narrative that's being played in front of the television audience. You know, it's more of what we've discussed on this show. Y'all discuss it endlessly. It's just more of the same.
What happened to the heyday of movies whenever they were like, you know what? Pontiac's got a new car out. Let's go burn some tires. Eastbound and down they went, right? What happened to those days?
Well,
that showed that Hollywood was bought and paid for back then because they tried with Volkswagen and all those other people and Ford, and they were like, no, we're not doing that. Pontiac was like, you know what? We'll use this whole movie to market
to
our
sell
Trans
a
Am.
Trans Am.
Yeah.
And that was 1979. No, that's a lie. 1977.
Yep.
And you can watch. Hollywood is bought and paid for. The actors and actresses are bought and paid for.
Well,
they don't brush their teeth like the rest of us. They brush their teeth with someone else's arm, with toothpaste that is given to them, and a special toothbrush that they get paid to use.
Take it a step further. Number one, start to think about the NFL commercials and Uber Eats, where you've got Matthew McConaughey, and he goes, well, the NFL is just a tool to make you want to eat. And the guy's like, what do you mean? It's Christian McCaffrey. He says, what do you mean? And he goes, think about it. Feed me more. And he goes through all the different things. And the guy says, oh, it's not that. And he goes, Jerry, what are you eating? And it's Jerry Rice. And he goes, rice? And they admit that they're there. And they're like, yeah, and it's a food commercial where they're walking you down the rabbit hole of how they're using marketing to get you to do it. And then it doesn't just stop at entertainment. Politics is absolutely bought and paid for 99%. I mean, let's see. Beyonce made what, $10 million to show up and give a 2-minute speech?
Eminem as well.
Eminem. Oh, he only got paid like $500,000. Megan Thee Stallion got like $2 million to come out, do one song and leave. And then you find out that a lot of the interviews that were done by a particular campaign were paid for.
Yeah, they're estimating over $10 million were paid to entertainers to endorse Kamala.
That doesn't count the paid for interviews.
Oh, yeah.
Where she paid to go on someone's news show or whatever and get interviewed and use that, which means, and guess what? When you pay for something, if I were to pay you to interview me, or let's rephrase this, you're all business owners. If you were to pay me to interview you about your business and what you do, what would you probably do before we sat down for the interview?
Tell you how I want the story to go.
Oh yeah, I'd say I want you to cover this. I'd give you a list of things that we need to cover.
And that's because you want to come out in the right light.
Right.
And I used to run into this with people all the time when I first started advertising, before I even owned a business. And we were advertising, my wife and I were like Hobby Lobby. And the woman's like, I know that voice. You're on the radio. I'm like, yes, ma'am. She goes, oh my God, I'm meeting someone famous. And I'm like, no, ma'am. Like, I pay for that. That's not fame. That's advertising. She's like, well, it's the same thing. It is not the same thing. You know, like the commercials we put out and all that, like, and granted, we do our things differently for the shop because we want to educate the public, but commercials are meant to catch your attention and to bring you into somewhere.
Yeah.
And the line between what is a commercial and what is news has become so blurred. That's why we tell you, look, we'll tell you what's sponsored on this show. We'll tell you what's paid for. We have no issues with that.
Have y'all brought up before the need to disclose paid spokesman?
So there, we have not.
Because if you that hasn't happened with the celebrities that y'all were discussing.
Which is really interesting. Well, now the question becomes, where do they have to disclose it? Can they disclose it on a social media post? Can they disclose it on a website, which is the About Us page, which is buried in the website, which says, hey, Megan Thee Stallion was paid $2 million to appear here, and they put it on the 15th page in minuscule type at the bottom of the page on a website that nobody's going to go look at in the first place.
Yeah, and I guess that checked the box, and that's why we do, in fact, know that they were paid spokesmen. So it's probably not in violation of any laws. It was just something I had come across.
But it's a great question.
You know, I think what they should do is like the political ads. Any political ad, they have to show you that who paid for it or what. You know, it's like they should do the same thing with celebrity, like they call it celebrity endorsements. Yeah, they got endorsed by a check.
And look, I'm willing to bet that I don't know because I haven't seen anything come out, but I'm willing to bet that there was some sort of financial inducement for Hulk Hogan to show up, some sort of financial inducement for Kid Rock to show up on the other side. I mean, I'm not going to say that this thing happens on one side of the aisle. This is politics. The point of this isn't to say one side gets paid, the other doesn't. The point is to say they're all trying to make it look pretty, and they're all getting paid. Every single one of them is getting paid. Politics is no longer politics. It's now entertainment. And that, to me, may be the real big takeaway from the month of November.
Well, and that circle is so different. Like with us here, except Walker, if we go somewhere like, hey man, I need help. You know, you want to come and move a bed, do this, do that, or
because Walker won't work.
Quick photo op or whatever.
Not
right?
today, especially.
Yeah, you're like, look, hey, you want to come help me? Yeah, sure. You know, I'll go out of my way to help you. And that circle, I'll be there. It's $150,000 for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and that's all they do is they pass money back and forth because they don't have friends. They have time that they've paid for with people.
Here's the other
It's
reason.
got to be lonely.
It's show business, not show friends.
Yep.
Correct. And here's the other reason why pretty matters. If the Harris campaign or the Trump campaign had paid Weird Al Yankovic to show up, does anybody care?
Oh yeah, a lot of people like Weird Al.
Yeah, but not the millions
He's
and
not soft
millions
on the eyes.
of the Rock's fans.
See, it's too bad Don LaFontaine is dead because he would have done great in a world. You know, he made the trailer sound good.
He did.
They don't do it like that no more.
But my point is, they have to put it in nice packaging because when it's easy on the eyes, people pay attention. When it's easy on the eyes, people give you the benefit of the doubt, which is why we have to work so hard on the show if you're watching us to get you to believe us or not believe us because we're not. We know it, and we don't care. But what we do care about is that if you're only catching hour one in your market of implicit bias, call the radio station, tell them you want hour two, and go find us wherever you get podcasts. Subscribe, like, follow X, YouTube, Facebook, and come back because hour two is always more fun on implicit bias.